Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem, a postmortem of my Blitz game number 488. I had the white pieces and played d4, and my opponent responded d5, so we get the Queen's Gambit. And my opponent declines the Queen's Gambit by playing knight to f6. This is known as the Marshall defense. And it's not a particularly good defense, and we'll see why in this game. Now, if you just play knight f3, you're transposing back into normal lines, so that's not the way to refute the Marshall defense. The way to refute it is to go ahead and take the pawn immediately, and then when he takes back, you're going to get some kind of advantage. If he takes with the queen, you're going to get a tempo on the queen with knight c3. So taking with the knight is the usual way, and then you get a tempo on the knight with the move e4. Although right here, knight f3 is apparently even more accurate than e4, but they're both good. I always get a little bit confused about the move order, but I think it's fine to play e4 first. And now his knight drops back. It can go either to f6. It might be a little better on f6 than on b6. We'll see it's a problem on b6 in this game. It's not, b6 is just not a great square for a knight. It's away from the action, and takes it a few moves to get back into the game. One of the reasons why why the Marshall defense is not so great. So knight f6 is probably a better choice, but even on f6, the knight is going to get kicked again with the move e5. Anyway, knight b6 was played, and I went knight f3. Oh, by the way, I noticed something when I was looking at this. If you want to try and make a playable opening out of the Marshall defense, instead of taking with the knight or the queen, you might want to try the move c6 and just turn it into a gambit, and maybe it becomes a playable opening at that point. But you see that c6 is kind of a rare move in the database, but it is a top engine choice, so maybe you get compensation for the pawn. Might be a way to surprise your opponents and try and redeem the Marshall defense. But in practice, I never see anyone playing that move c6. Kind of interesting. Okay, but let's go on with the game. He took the pawn. I played e4. He went to b6. And now I play knight f3. And this is an important move. You want to clamp down on this e5 move of black's. That's one way black can try and get counterplay. So now you've got a solid center here, and black's only developed piece is off on the side of the board. Bishop g4, and after knight c3 right out of the opening book. So let's just take a look at this, and a brief assessment here. You see that even though the same number of pieces are out, let's see, he played e6 here just to get all pairs of moves in. We both have two pieces developed, but my development is better because of his knight on b6. It's just not a piece that can easily get into the game, and my center control is better with the two pawns in the center. So white has a significant edge here. And actually, a lot of times when I get a significant edge in the opening, I play some moves that give the advantage away after a while, but this seemed to be pretty easy to play, just making natural developing moves. I managed to maintain and even increase my advantage. So bishop e2, just breaking the pin. c6, setting up a solid defensive structure. I'm not in any hurry to push these pawns forward. I'm just going to keep them there and control a lot of space in the center, and try and use that later as my advantage, being able to place my pieces more easily. He goes bishop e7. I play h3, kicking his bishop. Drops back. And now I play a3. I think I was a little bit undecided here, but I guess I wanted to keep the bishop out of the b4 square, and maybe with ideas of expanding on the queen side at some point. So he stops the idea of queenside expansion with a5. But notice actually that weakens the knight here on b6, this a5 move. That becomes a factor later in the game. So I decided my bishop has no future on this side of the board and develop it over here, looking at these dark squares. Sometimes there's ideas of even sinking a knight into the d6 square in these kind of configurations. For example, pawn to e5, knight to e4 to d6 can be a plan in this kind of position where black has this pawn set up. He goes knight to d7, developing. I go rook to c1. So I've managed to get all of my pieces out, and I'm starting to develop the rooks. He should be castling soon, but he gets puts in knight f6. He's not in any immediate danger, but you see I'm keeping this solid edge here. I lift up my queen, so my rooks are connected, and I can activate the other rook. He goes queen d7. I'm not sure if he's if he's planning to castle queenside or what. But one thing queen d7 did is it removed the last defender of this knight, so the knight on b6 is now loose, and he wasn't really paying attention to that. Let's see, I played rook f to d1, just putting my rook opposite the queen. He goes rook d8, and now I go queen to e3. So now my rook is staring at his queen without my queen in the way, and I am thinking at this point I've got pretty much everything set up. I'm going to try and push these pawns through and create some kind of breakthrough or advantage of some kind. And you'll see even here it's kind of remarkable with the material exactly even. The engine is already giving an advantage of almost 2 points for white, which is normally equivalent to a 2-pawn advantage. Anyway, he castles here, and I push on with d5. And he overlooks this threat to his undefended knight on b6 and just takes the pawn. But you'll see, even if he plays the correct moves, this is still going to be quite an advantage for white. Let's go ahead and play the computer line here, because the way it goes in the game, I'm just up a piece. So he takes here, and I take back his bishop. His knight is still hanging, so he saves his knight by going to c4, hitting my queen. Queen drops back to e2, then c takes d5. Look at that, his knight is still loose. Maybe there's no good way to save that knight. E takes d5, e takes d5. I'll cancel that. E takes d5, and then knight to d6. Okay, saves the knight by bringing it back to d6, but he loses some pawns here, so I can grab another pawn and be up material. So that's how the advantage gets translated from a positional one to a material one. Anyway, he completely ignored the threat on his knight and took here. So I took his knight, and I just have a pretty strong advantage the rest of the game, so I'll just go through this kind of quickly. But there are some interesting mating ideas at the end, so I'll get to that point. Okay, rook out. I keep taking stuff. Takes back. And queen to e3. I don't have to do anything special. I'm just getting my queen back, regrouping, maybe targeting his targeting his his bishop on e7. Goes queen e6. Offering the trade is probably not a good idea here because I'm up material, but anyway, knight e5 harassing his queen. Cancel that. Knight e5. Okay. Well, I'm unmasking an attack on the bishop, so I guess I'm going to trade off minor pieces. He takes, I take. Might have been better just to trade queens, simpler. He plays rook a to c8, and my knight goes to d4, harassing his queen. Queen goes to a6, and now knight f5. So I've gotten this knight into really an excellent square, and I've got pressure on the bishop. He plays rook takes. I take back. Oh, I throw in, yeah, this is a tempo move. I always look for these little moves. I can take the bishop with check. He didn't bother to defend the bishop. He probably expecting me to take back here immediately, but since I can take the bishop with check, I don't need to immediately take the rook. So king to h8, and now I'm 2 pieces up. He goes knight to e4. And now there's a mate in 3. Yeah, this is the first point where there was a nice little finish here to the game, which I missed. This is the quickest way to finish it. Is knight takes f7, taking advantage of his weak back rank. So knight takes f7 is with check, and the king can't move because the knight is guarding this square. So this is a very forcing sequence. Rook takes f7 is the only move, and now the other rook. My rook on c1 can come down and deliver the back rank mate. So his rook is pinned to the back rank by the mate threat, and I can force it off the back rank by taking on f7. So pretty clever mating idea. Anyway, I missed that idea. I played knight takes d5, picking up another pawn. He goes rook to e8, and grab another piece. Goes f6, chasing my knight away. And now, once again, I have some interesting mating ideas, starting with knight f7 check. This time, well, let's take a look at this one. He has to move his king this time because there's no piece that can take the knight. So the king goes to g8, and then queen takes. It's a nice little checkmate. The queen defends the knight, and delivers the mate, and there's no escape for the king. So another cute mate that I missed. Let's see. But I had another idea, which is a knight to g6 check, opening up the h-file and delivering a mate along that rank. So knight to g6 check, he takes. Yeah, this is in fact a mate in 4. So this all works. Queen takes here, check, driving the king to h7. The knight comes into e7, guarding these squares here so the king can't escape. And I think I was missing the mating idea, but the bishop is covering that escape here. So he's really helpless in this position. He tried queen d3, and then I found the mate here with queen g8. So another nice little mating pattern. I'm using 3 of my pieces here, knight defending the queen and the bishop blocking the escape square. Getting all my pieces in the action except for the rook over here. So a nice short game. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and see you again soon. Bye.